there. Welcome, Miss
Thank
Tracy, Hedderly, and Chuck Xenakis from JPMorgan Chase. Thank you for joining us on our GetWITit podcast. We're live actually at the Columbus Women, or the GetWITit third annual conference for women in tech here in Columbus. This is our third year in Columbus, Ohio. We just got off the stage. Our JPMorgan Chase CIO, Miss Lori Beer. She had a lot of really great stuff. JPMorgan Chase has been with us since the beginning in 2016, and they are extremely passionate about women in technology.
Yes.
So Chuck, Tracy, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us, I don't know, whoever wants to start off, why JPMorgan Chase is so passionate about women in technology?
No, go ahead.
So we're passionate about diversity, period.
Mm-hmm.
Women in technology is, you look at the numbers, and over the years there have been a declining number of women coming out of school with software engineering degrees. And we're trying to change that. We're trying to show that women do have a seat at the table. They are just as smart, smarter in many, many, many cases than the traditional old school guard of the guy in technology and the guys creating everything. And I think it really got driven home to me when we hosted a conference at our site for women in technology, and we showed the movie Code Debugging the Gender Gap. Mm-hmm. And there was one moment in that movie that, it was that, everyone has that spark moment. And that moment for me was when they were talking about airbags and how the first airbags were killing people. And they were killing people because the quality engineers were a bunch of guys. So they modeled the test dummies after themselves, and women and children were dying in these. So it shows the impact of having diversity in the room for whatever product you're making. And at JPMorgan Chase, we are a technology company. People don't think of us that way. People think of us as a bank or somewhere where you've got your credit card or you're checking through, but we're a technology company with 60,000 technologists. We need to have women at the table.
What do you think, Tracy?
I would very much echo a lot of what Chuck just said from a diversity perspective, what women bring to the table just with their different ideas and their perspective and the value that they add from that side of the house. In addition to that, and dovetailing off of the movie that we screened, Debugging the Gender Gap, it was eye-opening in the fact that the number of women that start out in technology and don't follow through as well. What do you mean don't follow through? That they don't stay in technology? They don't stay in technology. Okay. They're going through college, they're going through their classes, and they're surrounded by men, and still today. And one of the women that was speaking to that was one of our former interns, our TAP analysts that was on the panel. And she was saying how difficult it was to walk in the room every single day during their labs, during class, and basically be made fun of, or you're not good enough, and to constantly face that in addition to handling your coursework and keeping that focus to complete your journey.
So as an employee of JPMorgan Chase, how do you guys make women feel like that? I mean, one thing is having more around, right? Like recruiting and retaining. What are the practices do you think that Chase or JPMorgan follows to try to set that right, to ensure that women feel that way and supported?
I think too, just having the conversation around it and being open with our conversation and our thought. We have put much more of a focus on that over the last few years. Our diversity and inclusion, our business resource groups that we have within the organization that allow that to bring women's voice to the table and to put it front and center.
Another thing, and this isn't just women in tech, this is how JPMorgan Chase as a company thinks about their employees in general. We are one of the few companies out there that have on-site daycare premises. And it's backup daycare, but for new mothers and mothers returning to work, you get a period of time where it's free. So think about if you're a new mom who's had her first child and you've got this great career going and you're like, I'm going to be missing my child every single day. you can bring your child to work at the daycare, go see them anytime, care for them, feed them. It makes it a little bit easier to come back to work as a mother. So when you're talking about retention in technology, right, that's an important thing, and the company focuses on stuff like that.
I think I may have heard that you guys also offer paternity leave, and while some people may not consider that directly linked to a benefit to women in tech, it just goes to show how JPMorgan Chase values women in that we're saying, yes, as a company, please go help your wife take care, help get things together.
Absolutely.
It's not the old way anymore. We understand that equal responsibility, and by enabling men to be able to do that, you're showing that the company in general, like, it's okay for the men to go and help also, right? Because if we look at change in general about, do we want women to become more successful if they're handling all mom stuff, right? Like, hey, you got to make them comfortable and able to take back on their career, like, right after, wherever they're ready for. But then you also have to say too, on the converse side, that men are also able to go support their wives too. I think that's really unique.
Yeah, and again, it's creating that environment where everybody's voice is important, and where you get to bring your whole self to work, whatever that is.
Fantastic. So so you guys, in general, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do at JPMorgan Chase?
All right.
Well, I am our recruiting site lead for our Columbus hub.
Okay.
So JPMorgan Chase has 8 strategic hubs or technology centers of excellence in the United States. And a technology center of excellence means that you have at least 1,000 technologists in one location.
Okay.
So I am the Columbus site lead for our technology recruiting group, and then in addition to overseeing recruiting at a higher level, also responsible for diversity pipeline and strategy, and working with our tech leadership team.
Fantastic.
In our hub.
So I lead our North America hub strategy for the recruiting, and what Tracy failed to tell you is that Columbus is one of our largest hubs in the world, with over 5,000 technologists at JPMorgan Chase.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of responsibility, and when you think about, again, the impact that we can have in our local community by helping women in technology, giving them those opportunities, it's really a great responsibility that she has.
And privilege.
Yeah. So if you, like, just in a general day, kind of day in the life of recruiting, you're out shaking and baking, talking to people.
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake. That's what you do. Yeah, get it done. What do you find the hardest thing to approach with women in technology? Like, what is the biggest challenge? Is it finding access to women? Is it when they have the conversation, kind of driving it forward? Are they already having a job somewhere else? Or what are common conditions that you see when you're trying to engage women in technology?
I don't think it's necessarily a woman thing. I think it's a technology across the board.
Okay.
Because we're all on the same mission to find good technologists, and the numbers are decreasing. So the numbers that are coming out of college, that are coming out of school. From a female perspective, that population is obviously smaller. So, targeting that population and having those conversations, because most of the women that we are talking to aren't looking for a new position.
Okay.
So it's selling your organization and building those relationships and having the conversation.
So what is, like, the toughest technology role to recruit for? Is it new stuff, old stuff? Like, what kind of role is it that is, like, the hardest to try to find people for?
That's a great question, and I wouldn't say there's a single answer to it, but as much as I hate to say this, just software engineers, Java, C# software engineers there's still such a demand, and there's an increasing demand, right? JPMorgan Chase really understood that technology drives a business a long time ago. So we have been building and building and building and building. Well, guess what? The rest of the world is catching up. So now your smaller companies, your mid-sized companies are understanding that they too need software engineers to help drive their business. That's more competition for us.
So what do you look for in a software engineer? Like, what are the core foundational things? Like, obviously, like, what kind of background do they have?
That's a great question, and I'm going to also kind of mirror off of something that Lori had said in the conference, which is when we're talking to male software engineers, and I'm going to throw some stereotypes out there, so forgive me, but there's actually studies done about this as well. The men tend to overemphasize their capabilities and their skill set, while the female technologists tend to underemphasize their skill set and their value. And I don't know why that is, because I'm not female, but it's one of those things where we have to do a better job of coaching our interviewers and hiring managers on focusing on aptitude, not experience.
Coachability. Right.
Coachability, adaptability, cultural fit, and just quite frankly, the people who get it, right? You can teach me to write code. I won't write good code, but you could teach me to write. You could teach a lot of people to write code, but it's how the person does it. It's the thought process that goes behind it that makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
So are there different things that people are being, like, what kind of things in the interview process when you train someone to try to draw that out, right? Because, I mean, let's just face it, speaking of stereotypes, in the tech field, you can get a large majority of introverts.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Actually, extroverts are not always your typical technologist, and that's just a fact. Like, I don't know that anybody would deny that, whether they're female or male, right? But when you go in and that, how are you drawing it out or then drilling down, right?
Yeah.
Like if, it's kind of like recognizing inflation, what does that coaching kind of sound like to, like, I'm a manager and I'm going to go in and I need to get people on my line. We've got an application deadline and I got to get it going. Like, I need it now. Give me people. Because I'm sure that's exactly what they say to you.
Sometimes. Yeah.
So we do a couple of things. First and foremost, we have all of our software engineering candidates take a coding challenge.
Okay.
I'm not going to call it a coding assessment because we don't score it.
Right.
We have the ability to turn scoring on, but we purposely don't want to. All we want to do is look at how they write the code, right?
How do they think, too?
How did they think about it? Because first and foremost, coding is agnostic. So you can't throw bias in there by just doing the code. So that gives us an opportunity to look at, right, their skill set. But we coach hiring managers to not think about hiring as grocery shopping. Right? When you checking off the list,
lettuce, tomato,
and these are all,
coffee.
I want Spring and Hibernate and Selenium, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, well, they don't have Spring, they've got Struts, so forget it. I'm like, no, stop. It's a framework. If they were smart enough to learn Spring, they can learn Struts as well. It just takes a little bit of coaching and mentoring. So do you want to wait another 3 months to find that perfect grocery list? Or do you want to work with the ingredients you have that you can build that list?
Fantastic. So where's all the skills coming from? Like, where are we talking college graduates here? I mean, what are some of the cool ways you guys are looking at talent?
Yeah. So we, like all companies, right, we have a very robust campus recruiting program, and it's exactly what you would expect it to be. We're here at the Ohio State University and Stanford, and we're here with Google and IBM and Microsoft. We're all hunting for that same talent. So I'm not going to talk about all of that, but some of the more innovative things that we have been doing is working with boot camps. And we've had really great success in Columbus, Ohio, Wilmington, Delaware, New York, New Jersey, and some of our other locations, hiring people from boot camps. And what is that boot camp hire, you say? Sometimes it's a student who went to school for, say, chemical engineering, but had a software engineering class. It's like, wow, I really like this. Too bad I picked that up in my last semester of college and I don't want to go back another 2 to 4 years to get a degree. So they go to these boot camps. But a bigger chunk of the people are career changers. Complete career changers. And what they bring to the table that a college, just straight college grad doesn't bring is experience. So one of our first boot camp hires in Columbus, Ohio was a female math teacher. And she had her JD, but didn't want to be a lawyer. She got her master's. She was teaching math, and she decided, to go up in the educational system, she had to get into administration, and she didn't want to do that. So she thought, well, software engineering, math, numbers, logic, I could probably do that. And she went to a boot camp, and she is, we hired her about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, right, as a software engineer. Her trajectory is high, and then, she decided, I want to do something different. I want to get into big data and data science. And so at JPMorgan Chase, fortunately, we're large enough to have those opportunities, and she transitioned from a software engineering role into a data science role and is just continuing to grow and learn. And we tell that story as often as we can because it's very inspirational. And look, she had to take a big sacrifice to do that, and a big giant leap of faith to quit something after 10 years of doing it, pay money to get educated again.
Quit her job.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
So what do you see as common about people like that? Like, I mean, when you guys come across them, I mean, it's just
drive.
They're self-motivated. They're passionate. They want to succeed. And coming in the door, that they bring that in the door with them. And that spreads.
Fantastic. Yeah. So if you were to talk to a woman who just is exploring different options, right? Like, I mean, I think a lot of women generally, and I'm not speaking for all of them, but there's a lot of them that I know, and just from being one myself, I have a lot of interests and very similar to that, right? And it is hard to start over. But, if someone wanted to begin to start doing something like that, where would they start? What would you recommend? Like if you just happen to meet someone and you're evangelizing IT, which we happen to do a lot, what would be a first step or a transition? Is it to go to a boot camp and learn coding, or are there other paths that you've seen people kind of enter into the technology realm?
I would say almost every single one of them has had a friend, a colleague, a loved one who was in technology, right? And they kind of got the bug from them. There's a ton of free online coding classes that you can take to really try it out to see if it is something you want to do. If you're in it because it's a growing industry and you can make a lot of money, those are the wrong motivations, and I would say, don't quit your day job. But if you find that you take some of these free classes and the bug has bitten you, then there are a plethora of options out there, regardless of where you live. So one, probably shouldn't plug a website, and JPMorgan Chase is in no way, shape, or form affiliated with this website, but there is one out there for boot camps, and it's called Course Report. And they do a pretty good job. So I was interviewed by Course Report because of our boot camp involvement, and they wanted, to understand. They wanted me to give a report on a couple of the boot camps that we hire people from. The positives, the negatives, everything else. And then they also interview graduates. So it's not just, someone going out there and leaving their Yelp report. These are people who've been through the program or hiring people from the program, and you'll get a really good understanding of who you should be reaching out to in your local market.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, do you have any advice for a woman aspiring or maybe not aspiring to IT? Why would somebody consider IT? I think earlier, before we were kind of like headed, we were talking about really exciting opportunities in technology in JPMorgan Chase. Like, what are some of the things that are just so cool that it's like you'd be crazy not to want to get on board? Like, what would inspire somebody, and what are some cool things at JPMorgan Chase to get someone inspired to want to consider technology?
To want to
consider it.
Not already in technology.
Yeah, not already in it, or in it and potentially wanting to why would they want to come to JPMorgan Chase? Like, what kind of opportunity? I mean, I heard a lot of great stuff about culture. Yeah. I heard a lot of great stuff about opportunity. Like, what kind of cool stuff is happening there? Like,
I mean, just from a pure what we're doing across the board, from taking everything to the cloud and our agile transformation that we're going through right now enterprise-wide with JPMorgan Chase. As a woman in technology coming in the door and the room for growth and mobility that you have, if you are willing to put in the work and you have the desire and you have the passion to be able to, as he was referring to our female from the boot camp, to be able to move to different areas, whether you start on the technical side, maybe move into the business, or you go business and tech and you go back and forth. To come to an organization that's large enough that provides you that mobility and that upward growth.
I have some cool things I'm going to add.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, go into some specific stuff.
Yeah,
like cool.
So how about...
Like, what kind of problems are they solving,
moving $20 trillion of money around the world's financial system a day.
20 trillion. You have to do that, Tracy.
Trillion.
Okay. We process 5 trillion things. Yeah, $5 trillion worth of payments a day, right?
We did the Dr. Evil for those just listening.
Yeah. Like Tracy said, 5 trillion in payments a day. Think about the cool stuff, right? Who hasn't purchased something on Amazon? Well, guess what? That money has to go from somewhere to somewhere, and people don't think about it, right? They've got their digital wallet, Chase. They've got their credit card, Chase, or someone else. But there's still the technology behind it. So JPMorgan Chase is the payment processing systems for Amazon. So you buy something on Amazon, even if you're using a Capital One credit card or from some other institution, right? That money is going through our systems. We had some difficult time recruiting in Silicon Valley quite some time ago because everyone thought, well, who wants to work for a bank, right? No one wants to work for a bank. You guys are just mainframe systems, stodgy. And what we would the thing that we would say back is, okay, well, I get it. You want to work for a startup. They're nimble, they're agile, but guess what they don't have? Money for innovation, structure, stability, etc. And Lori was talking about this, but there's our post on LinkedIn, so we're not sharing anything. But we hired one of Google's top 3 artificial intelligence technologists. Left Google to come to JPMorgan Chase, right? Left Google. He's a Googler to come to JPMorgan Chase. So. Yeah, that's cool stuff, man. We're attracting the best and the brightest because what they get to work on from a scale and scope perspective is just phenomenal.
Huge. I mean, and when you talk about the size of $23 trillion, we're also talking across the globe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not just U.S., it's global
50,000 technologists globally.
Globally.
Yep.
So
we have more technologists than most tech companies have total employees. A bank.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
It is.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It is really exciting.
And we get to hire all those people.
Yes.
Well, so in closing, what advice would you give to someone if you're just going to meet them? Like, if somebody just came in and you're having a conversation, you discover they have a passion for technology, what would you advise them besides to come to call you?
Passion for technology, but not currently in technology.
Oh.
Is that what you're saying?
Or just in general.
That. Yeah, or in general, whichever passion for technology, in technology, whatever advice you would give to certain people, it's up to you.
I would say the same thing that Lori and many other folks say, which is keep learning. Keep pushing the envelope. Don't sell yourself short. Don't ever think I can't. Always think I can. Try and fail. You learn more from failing than you do from success. And just follow your passion and get others around you passionate about it too.
Right. Follow your dreams.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
On the GetWITit podcast. We're very thankful to have you, and we look forward to getting more technologists your way, especially women. We'll help populate your pipeline, okay?
Fantastic.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Take care.
Thank you.
Cool.